Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Support comes from the University of Alaska College Savings Plan, helping you and your child save for college every step of the way, from diapers to diploma. More information at uacollegesavings.com.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. On the first graphic here, the show times 5:30 p.m. for both APB and KUAC 9.4, 7:30 for 360 North, and 5 a.m. the following morning for Alaska Public Media, and every evening uploaded by 8 p.m. on YouTube. On the warning chart here, high wind warning out for the southern southeast coast. That's for tomorrow, and another big storm rolling northward. So winds will be in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range, with gusts above 60 miles per hour coming into the southern areas here. And moving to satellite imagery for yesterday, we had the first system pushing up in across the southeast coast. The clouds anyway, the low center still back down to the south. Not a bad day here across southern Alaska. Some clouds over the central and northern interior. And out to the west, showers here along the Gulf of Alaska, back down toward Kodiak, and then a system out here over the southeast Bering Sea, bringing some moisture to the Pribilofs and showery conditions to the eastern Aleutians, and a lot more in the way of showers back out here in the cold air mass over the western Bering Sea down across Adak and Shemya. And for today, not much change out there. That cold air has now slid down to the southeast and less in the way of showers. In fact, a pretty nice day here across this portion of the Aleutian chain. Not too bad there over the Pribilofs as well. Still have this system here over the southeast Bering, bringing clouds and some scattered rain and snow showers to the area right up along the southwest coast. Otherwise clearing out over the interior, back up across the Seward Peninsula and toward Kotzebue Sound. And then clouds here over the central interior, with some of that extending down into the Susitna Valley, and some showers here locally along the Kenai Peninsula and the North Gulf Coast. But over the Panhandle, that front has moved inland and weakened, the low tracking northward, bringing those 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts and storm warnings here along the coast earlier this morning. That diminishing down, and showers really tapering off over the southern areas, but kind of lingering up here to the north. And on the chart today, there's that low center pulling back to the northwest, the front inland and weakened now. And the next system down here developing to the south, that's the one that will be coming up later tonight and actually bringing the high wind warning back into the southern areas tomorrow. Otherwise, light winds, Prince William Sound, North Gulf Coast, just variably cloudy here across south central Alaska, and really just mainly clouds here over the interior, with a few flurries back up toward the northeast there, a few scattered flurries and patchy fog along the Arctic coast, locally over the north slope, otherwise dry from the Brooks Range all the way down until you get to the southwest coast here. A little bit of light moisture there, and then the scattered showers over Bristol Bay, mostly occurring offshore, and over the Alaska Peninsula, scattered rain and snow showers as well, and more numerous out here to the west. Gale warnings out here, northwest winds gusting as high as 50 miles per hour, mostly along and behind that trough, back up into the far western Bering. And for the forecast tonight, we've got 990 millibar low here just west of the Pribilof Islands, so scattered rain and snow showers across the Bering Sea, mostly in the form of rain here for the eastern Aleutians, and really not much at all for the Alaska Peninsula. Whatever does occur will be pretty light. Most of the moisture will be back to the northwest or off to the southeast. Fair for Kodiak, light winds, Shelikof Strait, North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound into Cook Inlet, mostly fair skies. Another chilly night, but not all that cold. for actually most of the interior here, but dry all the way up until you get to the Arctic coast, and you could pick up a few flurries or areas of light snow with some patchy fog there, mostly on the central and eastern areas. And then some of this moisture may start sliding in and bring a little bit better chance of some light snow from Eagle, maybe as far south as Northway or Tok, but most of that moisture is still back to the west. Possible rain and snow for the North Gulf Coast. And the next system now kind of sliding northward front right about in this position, but the main low center still back to the south, so look for the wind and rain to increase after midnight, and especially toward morning, possibly becoming heavy at times on the rainfall. But then that next system slides on up, 970 millibar low here, and quite a tight pressure field associated with that behind the warm front here. So rain possibly heavy at times, but again, those winds on the increase tomorrow, late tonight into tomorrow with those gusts probably above 60 miles an hour. Again, storm warnings out, Clarence Strait, and also along the southern coast of the Panhandle. Winds on the increase to the north, but be later on before they get too high up here on the extreme north end there. But rain spreading northward, even into northern Lynn Canal by the afternoon. Back over the mainland areas, variable clouds, areas of light snow. Some of this moisture will slip westward and bring a chance of snow from probably north of Valdez as far west as the Chugach Mountains, back up across the Wrangles and maybe into the Tanana Valley area, eastern Tanana Valley area, maybe from Delta on over to Northway, and then another patch up here from right around the Eagle area, possibly in the Yukon Flats. And that's about it. Just a few isolated flurries back to the west with clearing periods, and gusty winds on the Arctic coast there with some flurry conditions possibly here from Barrow on out to the west. Pretty nice day for the Seward Peninsula here to St. Lawrence Island. Low pressure there still near the Permafrost. That's going to keep scattered rain and snow showers in the forecast for that area, with mostly rain showers, but scattered in nature here for the eastern Aleutians to the Alaska Peninsula. Chance of snow showers Bristol Bay, and the next system out here to the west, for the most part staying south of the Aleutians through tomorrow. And then on Saturday, that thing just tracks eastward and stays south of the chain, gets to about this position here, but it's down to 962 millibars. So may see an increase in the winds here on the Pacific side of the marine zones there for the Alaska Peninsula. Other than that, just some scattered rain and snow showers. Same thing for Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, some scattered rain and snow showers, of course, depending on your elevation there. And cold air coming southward here across the Bering Sea, so snow levels dropping almost down to sea level for the Permafrost, but probably not quite. You've still got this easterly component to the wind flow there, but look for mixed rain and snow showers to come down toward the Adak area, maybe Atka, and then back out to Shemya with gusty north winds there, and northeast winds, heavy freezing spray warnings in the marine areas here of the Arctic coast, with flurries, fog, more of a snow shower condition through the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island. And then this area of light snow seems to begin to expand as some of that moisture pulls back to the west, and also upper level divergence a little bit there. So it could be some light snow as far south as Cook Inlet during the day on Saturday, and right up across the Tanana Valley to the Yukon Flats and the Brooks Range. So it could be kind of a snowy day, light snow and throughout this entire area for Saturday, and then it sort of fades away Saturday night into Sunday, back into a day not much different from what we saw today. Otherwise, break here for the southeast coast, still gusty winds, especially early in the day, but those gradually diminishing through the afternoon. You see a lot less in the way of a pressure gradient there, and all this shower activity for the most part, or just about all of it, is staying out in the Gulf of Alaska to the southwest. Another system down here south of the Queen Charlotte is pretty weak, 995 millibars. That'll be slowly moving northward and weakening as it goes, so it looks like it'll spread some rain into the southern panhandle late Saturday night and into Sunday. Otherwise, don't look for a lot of wind with that next system. And temperatures down that way today, lower 50s at Klawock and Sitka, with mid 40s here to the north, Juneau at 46. Pretty good rainfall amounts over the last 24 hours, 1.84 inches at Elfin Cove, while Ketchikan picked up 1 1/3 inches. Cakehead, 1¼ inches of rain to go along with all the wind. 44 degrees at Yakutat this afternoon, 38 at Cordova. Right around 30 there throughout the Copper River Basin with McCarthy, Kennecott, 30 degrees, same thing at Gunsight. 21 at Northway, about the same there in Fairbanks. Farther north, upper teens, 18 Fort Yukon, 19 at Bettles, and 16 at Anaktuvik with Umiat Airfield at 17. Temperatures in the Arctic coast ranging from the upper teens on the east side to the mid-20s there around Barrow, and over to 22-degree reading Point Lay. Cape Lisburne there at 31, same report from Kivalina, 30 degrees at Kotzebue and Shishmaref. And on the south side of the peninsula, though, about 10 degrees warmer, near 40 there from Gamble. Over to Nome, Wales and Golovin, both at 36, as well as Unalakleet. There's a 28 at McGrath and 33 down the river at Bethel, with mid to upper 30s out along the coast. Out west, upper 30s to lower 40s for the Pribilofs, and upper 30s there for the eastern Aleutians, all the way out to Shimia. Upper 30s warm into the lower 40s here for the peninsula, with a 42 afternoon reading at King Salmon, while Kodiak had 46. Lows for tonight, a little below zero in some areas here up over the Yukon Flats and possibly the Copper River Basin. Otherwise in that 5 to 15 degree range here through a big chunk of the interior. Upper 20s, lower to upper 20s here for the south central Alaska. Warmest, of course, along the coast. Mid-30s Kodiak Island. Lower 40s there for the southeast coast, and all in the 30s on the plus side of freezing here out over the Bering Sea, Aleutians, and even St. Lawrence Island. For the highs tomorrow, coldest up here in the northeast, 5 to 15 for the highs, coming up to around 20 there over the Copper River Basin to mid-20s over the Tanana Valley. We've got lower 30s there across the Yukon and Kuskokwim Delta, warming to near 40, say from Koryak on up to St. Lawrence Island, into the lower 40s for the Pribilofs, and about the same there for Kodiak Island, mid-40s, upper 30s to lower 40s for the North Gulf Coast, and 40 to 45, or 45 to 50 for the Panhandle. Moving on to flying weather tomorrow morning, IFR, a pretty good bet here for the Copper River Basin from the Alaska Range right on down to the North Gulf Coast, with marginal there to the north, kind of fading out as you head up across the eastern Yukon Flats. Marginal VFR, all of the Arctic coast, especially the central and western part of the North Slope, down to about the Brooks Range. Otherwise, pretty good VFR here in the interior, with marginal VFR St. Lawrence Island, down to Nunivak Island, a break, more marginal stuff. So really not all that bad out over the Bering. VFR for Kodiak Island. And then that next storm moving northward pulls some IFR up into the southern Panhandle. And we'll see for tomorrow that advances northward towards northern Link Canal, Glacier Bay, and then begins to improve a little bit down to the south with just marginal conditions. Still IFR here over the eastern Copper River Basin up to the Alaska Range. Marginal VFR, Prince William Sound, possibly as far east as maybe the, not the Madanuska Valley there, but probably just to the east, with marginal VFR up to the north to the Brooks Range. Arctic coast, North Slope, no change, and not really too bad out west over the Bering Sea. Areas of marginal VFR, but also a lot of VFR as well. And for the passes, Anaktuvik, Adigan, VFR. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR, rainy, same forecast, wide open for windy. Isabel, with moisture spreading in, could start out VFR, might only be marginal, but definitely getting IFR toward noon and into the afternoon. Same forecast from Antasta, VFR, possibly becoming IFR, although this pass may only be marginal. Tanita, VFR, Portage, again, possibly becoming marginal VFR. That'll mostly be on the eastern entrance, and for Chilkoot and White, VFR dropping off to marginal throughout the day and into the afternoon, and by late afternoon that could be IFR. For the freezing levels, 2,000 feet northward here, right up to the western Seward Peninsula, and then right along the south coast here north of Bristol Bay, and then warming up again, those storm systems rolling northward, so I'll pull 6,000 feet up north side of Dixon Entrance. Otherwise, we've got about a pocket of 4,000 feet here from Nikolsky over to roughly Falls Pass. Otherwise, 2,000 feet or lower out to the west. And for icing, areas of mixed icing here, above about 5,000 feet for the eastern Aleutians to the Alaska Peninsula, about as far east as Cold Bay, and otherwise icing free from Kodiak Island northward to the Arctic coast. Could see an area here over the Copper River Basin with that area of snow I mentioned, possibly as far south as Valdez, back up towards, well, south of Eagle. And then more extensive area here streaming northward and advancing north-northwest here across the Panhandle throughout the afternoon, mostly above about 6,000 feet. And there could be areas of actually occasional widespread moderate in that zone. And for the jet stream, again, strong south to north flow here, 120 to 140 knots, cutting across the Panhandle as that next system rolls northward. Upper level high pressure keeps it dry, and with light winds here over interior Alaska, another trough over the Bering Sea. Really not much of a wind flow around this, a main jet down to the south at 120 to 150 knots. 9,000 foot wind flow chart looking like this, 25 to 30 knot west-northwesterlies there around the south side of that low center near the Pribilofs. Light winds here along the coast and inland, just 5 to 10 knots. Get up to the North Slope and the Arctic coast, you're looking at 20 to 40 knot easterlies there. And light winds actually along the Aleutians, picking up to 35 knots, but that'll be south of the area through tomorrow afternoon. And then the big winds here coming up to the Panhandle, again, 60 knots, approaching Prince of Wales Island. And that same forecast of 3,000 feet, we've got those 55 to 60 knot winds coming into the southern areas where the high wind warnings are out. Otherwise, 25 to 35 for the Arctic coast, light over the interior down to the Gulf of Alaska and Kodiak Island. Southwesterlies, 15 to 30 for the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. Turbulence-wise, really none out here to the west to speak of. And up along the Arctic coast, areas of moderate chop below about 4,000 feet. And then moderate chop widespread here coming northward across the southeast coast. Could even become severe down, especially around Prince of Wales Island and a little bit off to the east. And after Stargazer, I'll return with the marine forecasts.
"40 years of gazing at the stars." Welcome to Stargazers. I'm Dean Regas, astronomer from the Cincinnati Observatory.
And I'm James Alberry, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida. This is a very special episode for Dean and I because this week marks the 40th anniversary of Stargazers.
That's right, James. 40 years ago, Jack Horkheimer, executive director of the Miami Space Transit Planetarium, began Stargazers. Back then, it was called Star Hustler, and we didn't have all the fancy technology we do today. And to top it all off, Pluto was still a planet.
That's right, Dean. So we're going to do something different this week. We're going to take you on a stellar trip down memory lane and fill you in on some of the history of Stargazers. Let's show you. Okay, we have our sky set to November 4th, 1976. And on that day, WPBT2 launched a brand new television series called Star Hustler with cosmic tour guide Jack Horkheimer.
Jack was a tremendous popularizer of astronomy, and his focus for Star Hustler was to turn people on to the wonders of the universe and the beauty of the cosmos.
The show was a spin-off from a 30-minute program called Horkheimer's Heavens. But to make the show more attractive and timely, it was shortened to the current 5-minute and 1-minute versions we have today.
As Jack liked to put it, Star Hustler was like a celestial hors d'oeuvre, giving you a taste of the cosmos that makes you hunger for more.
I was 9 years old when Star Hustler started, and it would always come on just before WPBT signed off for the day. Television stations don't really end their programming day anymore, but nevertheless, you could always count on Jack to tell you what was up in the night sky.
In the mid-1980s, Star Hustler went national, and Jack became a much more energetic character. Being the first and only weekly program on naked eye astronomy for the person on the street, Star Hustler took on a broader appeal.
Then came the internet, and Star Hustler found itself in a quandary. School teachers wanting to use the online versions of Star Hustler for their classes could no longer pull up the show in search engines. The term hustler was no longer family friendly, and many schools blocked websites with pages containing the word hustler.
So it was decided to change the name to Jack Horkheimer Stargazer, and the Stargazer's title that we use today is in honor of that. With the advance of technology, Stargazers went from using the practical sets that Jack had in the beginning to using chroma key, also known as green screen technology. This allows the post-production graphics team to place us in any situation they want.
I particularly enjoy using the skyboards. I've asked the team here if I could take one home with me, and they keep telling me that I'll have to wait until I'm older.
Using green screen technology, we can't wear clothing that has any green in it. Otherwise, that piece of clothing will get replaced by any background that we have, as James will demonstrate.
Hey, where'd everybody go?
And thus, the cloak of invisibility was invented.
Sadly, in August 2010, Jack passed away. However, his legacy lives on through the continued support of Stargazers by viewers like you, the benefactors of South Florida PBS, and donors who support public television.
In October 2011, James and I became part of the Stargazers team, along with Marlene Hidalgo, one of the local science teachers here in South Florida.
After 2 years of helping us share the night sky with all of you, Marlene and her family moved to the northeastern United States in early 2014.
The philosophy behind Stargazers has always been to encourage everyone to go outside and look up. There's so much wonder in the night sky, yet we fail to make it a daily part of our lives.
So, the next time you see us on TV or online, take your family outside after the show and look up. Make the stars your own and share the wonder of the cosmos with the next generation.
Keep looking up.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis showing some heavier concentration there along the coast. Concentration is heavier than what's on the outer edge there that's in the blue. Still a lot of open area here to the north, a little bit of expansion there on the west side. Otherwise, just really not much change expected over the next several days, except things to gradually continue to increase ice-wise. And for the winds, again, storm warnings coming back into the forecast here for the south coast, south-southeast, 50 knots, higher gusts, definitely. Same thing for Stevens Passage, storm warnings there at seas building to 14 feet, could see gusts to 70. And southeast for Stevens Passage at 25. Small craft advisories out of the north for Lynn Canal, northeast 20, pick up to 30 knots to the south, and again back into the storms. And then for Saturday, winds swing around to the south, 25 for Lynn Canal in the afternoon as low pressure pulls northward, up to 30 knots for Stevens Passage, and southeast coming down to 25 knots for Clarence Strait. Southwest, kind of a range here from 25 knots on the south coast, 35 to 40 here for the central coast, and then back down to 20. For Prince William Sound, Cook Inlet, light winds, light variable winds also for the Barren Islands, Kamishek Bay, and Shelikof Strait, west 15, Kodiak there on the east side, and the North Gulf Coast, west-southwest at 15. And that light wind condition continues through Saturday for the North Gulf Coast to the Barren Islands and Kodiak, even lighter and more variable for Kamishek Bay, Shelikof Strait, northeast 10 for Prince William Sound and northern Cook Inlet. Bristol Bay, south 15 tomorrow, westerlies 15 to 20 across the Alaska Peninsula, seas 7 to 8 feet. And then for Saturday, still light winds south to east there for the peninsula, and south turn southeast at 10, really light there for Bristol Bay. And the Aleutians, Fox Islands, west-southwest, 20, maybe 25 knots. And back to the west here, gets a little more variable at about 20 with 10 to 13 foot seas. And then Saturday, we've got north to northwest, 20 to 25 knots, northerlies at 25 here for the central Aleutians, turning northeast and then diminishing there as you back across Unalaska Island down to 20 knots. And for the southwest coast, south of Nunivak Island, light easterlies, northeast 15 to 20 knots for St. Lawrence Island, light winds for the Pribilofs, and then those pick up 20 to 25 knots here across the Bering Sea, and northeast 15 to 20 for the southwest coast to St. Lawrence Island. The Arctic coast, brisk wind advisories or small craft advisories, heavy freezing spray in those zones up to 30 knots here, 25, and then dropping off to the south. For Saturday, 25 to 30 knot easterlies, heavy freezing spray all the way over even on the west side. Otherwise, small craft advisories as those northeast winds continue with 8 to 10 foot seas. For tonight, wind and rain on the increase again here over the southern southeast coast, a break to the north, no change over the interior, showers out to the west over the Bering Sea, rain or snow, down across the eastern Aleutians, and kind of breezy on the Arctic coast there with some fog and flurries mixed in. And then for tomorrow, there's the next big storm, high wind warnings out for the southern panhandle, 30 to 40 miles an hour, gusts above 60, as that low center tracks northward just off the coast. And some snow possible over the Copper River Basin, northward across the eastern interior. Not much different from today over the remainder of interior Alaska, or even over the southeast Bering Sea, rain and snow showers scattered around, breaking out to mostly clear skies possibly for St. Lawrence Island. And then for Saturday, first day of the weekend, could be a little on the snowy side here for the eastern interior, possibly as far south as northern Cook Inlet. Otherwise, better conditions for the panhandle. Snow showers, cold northerly winds out over the Bering Sea down to the central Aleutians, and a few isolated showers here for the eastern Aleutians with that rain shield just to the south. Well, thanks for joining us for tonight's edition of Alaska Weather.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Support comes from the University of Alaska College Savings Plan, helping you and your child save for college every step of the way, from diapers to diploma. More information at uacollegesavings.com.